Доброго вечора, ми з України.
Hello, comrades. Welcome back to Ushanka Show. Stories about everyday life in the Soviet Union. Здравствуйте, дорогие товарищи. В эфире программа Ushanka Show. In today's video, we're going to talk about mosquitoes. John asked me, the flypaper in your mother's house reminded me to ask, what about mosquitoes? Are village homes generally mosquito-proof inside? Or were mosquitoes not an issue in that part of Ukraine?
This guy may have actually grown up in the USSR, but he's still a charlatan. The view he takes in his earlier videos is very much, some parts were good, some parts bad, overall life was fine, but there has been a steady slide into sensationalistic
Okay, so we are done with our daily dose of hate mail, and let's start with the lesson of the Russian language. Урок русского языка. Комар. Комар. That's the Russian word for mosquito, and you probably should know that's only female mosquitoes. That's the one that suck blood. By the way, we have a very interesting expression in Russian language. It sounds like this. Комар носа не подточит. Комар носа не подточит. It's hard to translate it, but usually you say that when something is done like perfect. And it came originally from the like a furniture makers when they make a piece of wood so smooth that even mosquito can drag its pointy part that it pokes people with and can't even sharpen its needle. I could call it needle, I guess. That's when the situation is done so well. So, for example, quite often it's when it comes to regards if you make like a bogus money or forgery and you say, is that any good? He's like, oh yeah, комар носа не подточит. It's done perfect. You can see the difference between real deal and this forgery. Комар носа не подточит. Okay, so now back to the John's question. What about mosquitoes? Mosquitoes, комары, were very bad, even in Kiev, and especially extremely bad in northern Ukraine, in the village that I spend every summer. Looking back, that was pretty much close to nightmare. Fun Soviet fact, we didn't really have mosquito nets available. At least I don't remember ever seeing them for sale. So usually people, if they needed something to put on the windows as a mosquito net, they would go to the local drugstore. Yeah, you heard me right. They'll go to Apteka and they purchase a gauze fabric, G-A-U-Z-E, that you use, to wrap your wounds. And that fabric, it's kind of like a mosquito net, right? It has a tiny holes. And that's what usually people used in their windows instead of mosquito nets. And of course, it wasn't perfect, so mosquitoes managed to squeeze through. But I remember in Kiev and in the village, that's what people held in their windows, is the gauze fabric. And of course, we didn't have off available. I think they had some kind of anti-mosquito spray, but wasn't working really well. So you're pretty much on your own. And in the village where I stayed in northern Ukraine, that specific street where I lived with my grandparents, it was kind of in the lower part. So there was a lot of little swamps, little lakes. So there was plenty of breeding grounds for mosquitoes. So they were horrible outside as well as indoors. And no, our village homes weren't generally mosquito-proof inside. Maybe our mosquitoes were so smart or our homes weren't that proof. But mosquitoes were always inside, and usually before you go to bed, you're trying to inspect the ceiling and you have a fly swatter. Usually there'll be handmade fly swatter, and you will try to locate those mosquitoes and kill them. Because otherwise, the problem with mosquito is not even their bites, it's the sound, that buzzing. Because you could lose your sleep just to hear that mosquito buzzing above your head, trying to land on your face. And as a kid, in order to fall asleep, I will stick my feet out to let them eat it, so at least they will leave my face alone. So you just kind of put, thin sheet over your face, just have a little hole for your nose, and you stick your feet out. And my feet were always red with bites, mosquito bites, and itchy. So that was all summer long. I would have this feet will be in poor shape. During the day, of course, there was not many mosquitoes. They were hiding. But if you go, for example, fishing early in the morning or fishing in the evening, there will be armies of mosquitoes in the air. So you're constantly just staying there, slapping yourself, killing mosquitoes. Similarly, if you go mushroom hunting, and we always went mushroom hunting early in the morning. And that's the reason for it is you're trying to show up in the forest before your competition so you can find more mushrooms. And once again, same problem. There'll be mosquitoes. Like in the forest, there was a lot of mosquitoes. And speaking of selective memory, when I was telling my kids stories about my experiences and adventures as a kid going mushroom hunting or fishing, I totally forgot the part about mosquitoes. And like if you go in the forest, quite often you run your face into the spider webs. So when I took my kid Oliver mushroom hunting, I was so excited for him to experience what I experienced as a kid. And suddenly there's a tons of mosquitoes attacking us. There's spider webs. And I felt bad because I'm sorry, I totally forgot the bad part, the mosquitoes and the spider webs. And sometimes I wonder that people that miss Soviet Union, they have the same problem. They have selective memory, so they remember the good parts and kind of forget the bad parts. So they remember being young and the girls like them, but they forgot all those hours that they spent waiting to buy bread or waiting to buy a couch. So similarly, as I said, I totally forgot those bad parts with mosquitoes. In my family, my father was the one who suffered the most from the mosquitoes. I'm not sure why, but for example, if there'll be three of us walking through the meadows on the way back from fishing in the evening, so there'll be a cloud of mosquitoes above my dad. So they go after him first. So then I will be the second one and my mom will be the last one. I'm not sure how they make that selection. If someone's skin is thicker or what, but if there'll be three of us, my dad will take all the attacks of mosquitoes. So he was always suffering. He hated mosquitoes so bad. That was his nemesis. You would guess that maybe in a big city like Kiev, situation with mosquitoes be different because, large cities, it's pretty much what is the jungles of concrete and blacktop. But unfortunately, our building had a leak problem in the basement. So pipes were leaking all the time, creating a little swamp, warm swamp. So there was a breeding ground for mosquitoes. So we also had problems, and we lived on the second floor, so it wasn't high enough for mosquitoes. Still were able to get in our windows. And I remember, once again, every night, you inspect the ceiling, try to kill all the mosquitoes, and even with a newspaper, folded newspaper, and sometimes in the middle of the night, you just God damn it, you have to get up, turn the lights on, and you hunt that mosquito. If it sits on the ceiling, it's easy to notice him because ceiling's a white color, but if it sits on your carpet, that on the wall, the rug on the wall, good luck to see mosquito there. But according to my dad, they didn't have any mosquitoes issues in his village in the Zhytomyr region, and he was claiming it's because they were raising a lot of hops in that area, and they were spraying hops with sulfides. And he was thinking maybe that was killing all the mosquito population because he said they never had any mosquitoes in that village. Maybe it was, higher location, didn't have swamps, it was a drier area, but he said they never had issues there with mosquitoes. I know that a lot of people don't believe in climate change, but I could tell you for sure when I compare that village in northern Ukraine and I compare the climate when I experienced in the summers back in the 80s and summers now in 2020s, it's huge difference. Summers right now are way hotter, and I notice there's a small creeks that literally disappeared. There was always water there when I was a kid. Now it's a dry creek and only fills with water when it's raining. Also, there's a small lakes that disappeared, turned into grass fields. And I also notice way less mosquitoes. It's a drier conditions, less breeding grounds, so our village now became mosquito, not free, but way less mosquitoes now, so there's no more trouble as there used to be. Like even in the evening, you can walk around and you don't have a lot of issue with mosquito chasing you. And life became easier for the locals because, first of all, off is available and other mosquito sprays. And now you can purchase mosquito nets and you can purchase windows with pre-installed mosquito nets. If you follow my channel, you probably remember the story that I had to replace all the windows in the house that I helped my mom to buy. And the windows that open, some of them don't open. She didn't want to spend extra money. So the windows that open, they have a built-in mosquito nets, and now my mom doesn't have an issue with mosquitoes getting into her house. But yeah, back when I was a kid during the Soviet days, mosquitoes were a huge problem. Can't even tell you how many gallons of blood they sucked out of me in all those years. And yeah, that made my summers miserable. But of course, as a kid, you just enjoy it so much to be out of school and have fun with your friends, go mushroom hunting, go fishing. So that was just a part of the deal. You pay with blood for your summer fun. And of course, problem with mosquitoes in Ukraine is nothing compared with problems in Siberia. They don't call them their kamaryo, like they're not mosquitoes, they're gnus. So there's little tiny flies and they get in your nose, in your eyes, and they bite. And it's really similar to what's going on in Alaska. It's a similar climate. A lot of swamps, a lot of lakes. So all summer long is just horrible situation. So Ukraine was way better in that regard. Okay, my friends, that's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this story. As always, please don't forget to like this video. Maybe it will help YouTube to notice it. Like it noticed my rug on the walls video. It's going viral almost, which is very exciting. At any rate, please comment, like this video, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.